Do you think I'm rich, Joe? Joe just put up a sign for our YouTube viewers. It's accusing me of being wealthy.
No, I assumed that was your middle name, Richard. I just went with Rich.
You are remarkably close.
Mine actually,
but not quite.
One of my confirmation name is Richard. So I didn't say.
Wow.
I didn't say in the wallet. Just maybe call you Rich. Yeah.
So we were just talking about how the boomers have all the wealth in the country. 85% of the wealth is in the. $85 trillion of wealth in the nation is in the control of the baby boomers. What you have to understand is that a great deal of that is in real estate, but also a tremendous amount of that has to do with they were at a very unique time, the boomers were.
Okay.
So many of them entered the workforce when companies were still offering a pension. And then in the 80s, they started doing, Congress said, look, this is bad for business. Let's do something where people are investing in business and then they get returned based on the performance of that business.
It's a little 401k.
That's exactly right. And so they made the 401ks more tax friendly. So that encouraged people to invest in 401ks. It encouraged companies to cease their pension plans and to encourage company-sponsored 401ks, which, of course, is the norm outside of, I would say, union jobs or government jobs today.
Do you think a lot of it, too, has to do with wealth and investments as well? Like the stock market.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It exploded. So it's not just the 401ks. It's also some of those folks who had those 401ks took some chunks of money and were able to throw it at the stock market.
When it was still way low. Right.
Way low.
If you take a look at the trajectory of the stock market, it was cruising along at a pretty normal return rate. And then in the 90s, all of a sudden, pew. So imagine if you had a pension and then your company in 1985 says, you know what, start investing. We're not going to do your pension, or we're going to turn your pension into a 401k. And then 10 years later, it explodes. And we go from, I remember sitting in college and watching the Dow, and I was like, oh my gosh, Dow just hit 5,000. We're up 46,000 right now, right? So imagine if all of a sudden you watched your wealth grow 8 times over, right? That quickly, so 9 times over. So they happen to be at the right time. Meanwhile, they were buying houses for half of what you can buy a house today.
That for sure, and
then the house is appreciated faster than
your salary.
Than the salary.
Like way faster.
Yeah.
So you were able to buy the house for cheaper. Your salary was going up more. And now that trend has went in a negative direction. So
it really, the reasons come down to, according to an economics professor at New York University, the reasons come down to timing and time. Americans that are 75 and older bought homes and invested in stocks well before those assets exploded in value. In other words, it'd be like you've heard, if you had bought Apple in 1970.
I was just going to tell you, don't even bring up the Apple example because it just bums everybody out.
Well, yeah, but it's true. This is like, hey, I bought NVIDIA 5 years ago. I had quite a few shares.
You did?
And I was like, this isn't going anywhere, and I sold it all.
Oh, I was going to say, what are you doing here with me?
I sold it all. Yeah. It was like I was doing a story on this novel technology in 2012 called Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, that seems interesting. And I'm kind of a tech geek. I should get some of that. I don't know how. I won't spend any time investigating it. And I didn't. And now, of course, it didn't. So imagine if you had bought Bitcoin when it was a novelty, right? And now all of a sudden, each one is worth over $100,000.
Dude, just on a lark, I just picked a random date. I just said April of 2002. And I said, if I invested $100 in Apple in April of 2002, so not that long ago.
No, 23 years, right?
What do you think that is worth now?
Well, Apple's at a lull because they were having problems. Had they released the iPod yet?
Keep in mind, $100 worth of Apple, April 2002.
I don't know. Was it worth $5,000?
$52,000.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind, that's according to ChatGPT. Maybe it just horrifically lied to me.
It's like Apple. Yes, apples have definitely gone up in value. The state of Washington has made tremendous amount. If you bought Apple
stock in April of 2002, it would be worth approximately $52,913.28.
Granny Smith apples are worth even more.
That was as of the end of October 2024.
So here's why it's going to be so tough for you if you're under 40. This is why you're hosed. Mortgage rates. So a lot of the issues are not new to the generation, right? So, for instance, I told you timing and time. Well, if you were a younger generation, you got time.
Yeah.
Timing remains to be seen. We don't know what the timing is going to show. I mean, who knows? We could have a massive market failure. We could be. No, listen.
You're hoping for one of those every single day.
Well, I am, yeah, because it's going to drop the price of homes. I can get into one. But here's the thing. Imagine if you are Gen Z and you are more accustomed or acclimated to AI, the language learning models, right? You could use that to your advantage in finding the next job. Okay, so imagine the market goes to crap, but anybody that is hiring people that have AI experience. Now all of a sudden you are Gen Z, you've got the experience, you've got the skills, you can step into that job when the market's down, and all of a sudden that's timing, right? So we don't know.
You're in demand. You've got leverage.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
So they have time. They may not have timing. We don't know yet. For Gen Xers like me, the time is running out. The timing looks like we just missed the boat. It's just not going to be there. But here's what's going on when it comes to hanging on to that wealth. If you think of different ways to store wealth, you can store wealth in a savings account. You could store wealth in a dollar bill under your mattress. You can store wealth in a gold coin. You can store wealth in your real estate. And so with mortgage rates being high right now, a lot of the issues, again, not new to this generation. Oh, you've got debt, you're raising kids, you've got a lot of expenses, you're buying cars, all this other stuff, right? That's normal for your age group. But the mortgage lockdown is a compounding issue. So if you don't have home ownership at a younger age, you're not able to accumulate and store wealth. You're not building equity.
So what do you say, though, to the people? Because my parents would tell me all the time, I'm sure yours did too, of interest rates at one point in time on a house were like 14%. 6 isn't so bad.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. Yeah.
But the price of the house was also way less.
As we just talked about.
We just said, what, $40,000? A lot easier to deal with than $500,000.
Even adjusted for inflation, you're still looking at a home that's $250,000 instead of $450,000 or $500,000.
So if you didn't get lucky and get one of those 3% or lower interest rates, kind of hosed. But likely, again, you said there's time.
Well, that's my point, which is why all of a sudden we're seeing the median first-time home buyer age is up over 40 years old for the first time in history. So Gen Z, you can't have a house. In fact, houses are only going to basically middle of the pack millennials and younger, or older, middle of the pack millennials and older. Everybody else can't afford one. So because you've got this slower wealth compounding, you're missing out on the early years of ownership. You're missing out on the equity that home is going to offer you over the course of those 10 or 15 years. Boomers were buying houses in their mid to late 20s. Now you're talking about 15 years delayed before you can start building that equity and accumulating your wealth. And you've got additional debt because student loans have gotten to be more expensive. Cars have gone up faster than inflation, home values, everything else that we've talked about.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.